Hey everybody, it's Libby DeLucian again, and we are here with Holly. Holly, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your entrepreneur journey?
It's a long one, but here we go. So I am Holly Moore. I am a seventh generation Texan. I've always lived in Texas, and I have come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad was a home builder. My grandpa before that was a farmer and rancher, and we've always had our own businesses. Even my grandparents, uncles, cousins. That's just what we know. So growing up, I went to school and not sure of what I was going to do. I actually even tried to work. I thought at one point I wanted to be a doctor. Not that I was smart enough to be a doctor, but that was what I thought I wanted to do because I really, really love to help people. And so I thought, well, I could try that. So I went in high school and actually was a OR tech. And I figured out really quick that I do not like blood or any nasty things, any kind of human liquids coming out of anyone. So I was like, nope. So they quickly put me to day surgery, making beds and organizing drawers. Probably didn't know it at that point, but that might have been a little bit of where my housekeeping first started. But I went on to college and at Texas A&M, and I met my husband, who I tried to make sure did not and would not have anything to do with home building, since I come from a seven generations of them. Anyway, so we got to dating, and then my husband really liked my dad, and then somehow he convinced him to hire him. So now I have a home builder as a husband. So that backfired.
Yeah, but at least you got a nice house out of the deal.
I do. And I'm the entrepreneur, and I've been doing my dad's books. Me and my sister both have worked for my dad's business since we were doing warranty calls at 12 and running his QuickBooks at 13. I mean, that's just the kind of family we grew up in. So I was literally doing warranty calls at age 15, and I was just wanting to get away from home building, but I was back there again. And I can say I did really help my husband get his business off the ground. He did work for a company for a while after he stopped working for my dad, and then now he has Hollywood Custom Homes. So I do have actually a third business him and I do together. I would say he did, and that's sweet. Hollywood
That's so
Custom Homes.
sweet.
But listen, when I was teaching school and I was like, came home and I'm like, that's it. I love helping people, and I'm really good at getting kids or a group of people to go into a common direction as a leader. And I was a coach, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. I hated grading papers, absolutely hated the paycheck. So those two, I was like, done. I had a family friend who had started a cleaning service actually in Waco. Hi, English Maids, if you're watching. And she said you should really start one in Austin. And I thought about it. And then finally I came home one day and told my husband, I am quitting school, teaching school, and I'm going to start my own business. And he was like, really? What business is that? And I said, I'm going to clean houses. And he kind of looked around, and then he was like, well, how about you start cleaning this one? And of course, he was in serious trouble after that comment, which, if anybody who knows me, I'm very fueled. When somebody says I can't do something, that's just going to make me want to do it even more. So he said that, and I quit that May and started cleaning my first house in June. And actually, my son had just turned 6 months. And instead of saying I need to wait until he gets into school, I was like, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. No excuses. And I just went for it. So 6 months, got my own cleaning supplies. I did have a little bit of direction from my friend in Waco. Slapped a magnet on the side of my Suburban and started cleaning for 6 months all by myself. And then it really helped me develop my processes of how I wanted to train and clean people, or, train my future cleaners. I didn't know it at the time. I was just trying to be successful. Like when you're sitting there with a bachelor's degree in leadership and economics and scrubbing a toilet, you start to really second guess your decisions and figure out exactly how hard-headed you are. So I just kept going and kept pushing and then I would hire. And at first I worked out of a little storage shed in the bottom of some weird building in downtown Austin. And was nasty in there, but that was where all their supplies were, and the cleaners would come and get their supplies from there. And then eventually I got an office, and then eventually I got a bigger office, and then eventually I got another bigger office, and then eventually I'm here, at the end of 17 years. A lot of work and a lot of process building, a lot of technology, and I'm proud to say I think we already did hit 8.6 million this year, and in residential only. There's a few tiny little commercials in there, but they're mainly cleaned as commercials. So we hit 8.6 million in revenue this year. And if I were to go back 17 years, that day that I told my husband that I was going to quit teaching school and think that I would be where I am today, I would have not believed you. But I guess that stubbornness and entrepreneurial spirit just helped me hang in there. I will say there's so many things along the way. I mean, obviously a huge thing is my sister came along in probably about year 2-ish, 3-ish. And I was, you hit that point where you're like right at that 200 to 300 mark, and you're just like, you feel like an octopus with like 12 arms and you can't get it all done. You're the salesperson, you're the ops girl, you're the trainer girl. You're like everybody. And Summer was like, trust me, just let me take the phone. How many leads are you getting? I was like, I don't even know. I can't even record them. Like, people just call me and I go, yes. And then I go clean it. And that is literally my process. So Summer coming on and helping completely revamp my entire sales process, my entire sales system. And she's so innovative. And as y'all have all probably met her, and I think she's even been on Fearless before. And getting the sales ripping where I could focus on operations. And that's definitely my strength, is operations and processes and efficiencies and getting things flowing operational, like getting the job done. So that partnership helped me crazily boom. And then there's a lot of different things along the way that we've done that have allowed us to even get past, other places I never thought I would be. And luckily in 2016, 2017, I told you it's going to be long. 2016, 17, we started really hitting a wall in the cleaning service industry, because my last name's Moore. By the way, I did name my company Maids Moore after my husband, since he named his Hollywood custom homes. Anyway, I hit that wall, and it was in technology. There was all these manual tasks, lots of 15 different spreadsheets. Back then it was more kind of like paper, and it was just so inefficient. And I was like, why can't we take more bookings? Because it wasn't the fact that we couldn't get them. It was the fact that the operations couldn't handle them. So when we broke that down, we realized that we needed a software solution. We looked and looked and looked, couldn't find anything that was exactly what we wanted. So me and my crazy sister, me crazy, her crazy, both of us being crazy, started working with developers and designed our own software called the cleaning software. We launched it into our company in 2020. And in 2020, we went from 4 million, obviously now, to 8.6. And we just launched the cleaning software to the rest of the cleaning nation in 2024. So I have 3 businesses: Hollywood Custom Homes, and the Maids Moore, and the cleaning software. So I'm sure I could probably actually think of a couple other ones.
So what was it like going from owning a cleaning business to owning a software?
Woo! I'm still going through it. I wouldn't say it's any treating your employees and the culture and being the leader that you need to be and staying positive. That goes with you with any business. The hurdles of which I'm not used to knowing exactly. I know anything you need to know about the cleaning industry. You could say one term and I could talk for 7 hours on it. The technology, it was definitely Summer's thing, and she can research and really get into that. So I would say for me, it was the first time that I felt like I wasn't an expert in the technology aspect of getting it all set up. Now, actually having the software and working in the software and teaching others how to use it, I'm so good at. So I leave all the technology to the brains, which is Summer, the technology, super techie part. And I do stick with what I'm good at in operations and training the cleaning services how to use it. efficiently
Awesome.
and how to use it to grow.
Awesome. It's a very similar story to mine, right? Started with a cleaning business and then end up with a software. I just actually signed a deal to I was a partner in a software and signed the deal to be the 100% owner of a software of another software that I am now running and managing. And it's inside the cleaning industry as well. But I feel you because when I first started, the first thing I did when it started to take off was like, I need help. I need a coach. I need a mentor because I have no idea what they're talking about. And here I am like Googling the terms. I'm like, what the heck does this mean? And so, that really helped me. But it's so different how they run, like just, you know, the thought process and projecting and even building it for scale is different than cleaning. Like cleaning is more linear. If I want to make more money, I need more people. Software isn't so linear, right? The growth is more exponential. It's not capped by region or population, I guess by industry, but it's so much more exponential. And then the revenue per employee is crazy when you really get up and going. And then also for all of our home service business owners, at least, the profit margins are different in software than it is in cleaning. And that was something that, we were like, wow, this is different, but interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like how much they spend on marketing compared to what we spend in marketing and cleaning, like just so many similarities, but also so much is different. Just the way even the P&Ls are different, and
I
the way you
know.
budget and the way you run things. It's just so different. So if I can own a software, I know anybody can own a software because I was like, I don't know anything about software.
We
Um,
had to do the same thing with a consultant. We were like, we need some help. Like, we are in this. And I thought it was funny because I pop into a room of the consulting firm or coaching firm that we chose. And then I'm like, it's like we chose the right one.
I'm like, Summer, why didn't you tell me you needed help? She's like, it was late and I was frustrated and I Googled how to build a SaaS company and Dan Martell popped up. I'm like, dude, I'm in that group.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I wasn't thinking at the moment. So it's a great group. But I want to go back to like an $8 million company, right? Maid service company is not common in our industry. I know this because I do coaching in the residential cleaning industry. It's not common. Even between two locations, it's not common.
Mm-hmm.
We see some franchises that maybe they own a few locations that get close to that, especially single owners. Very like it's not a single location, but it's very close because you only got two, right? Or maybe two.
Well, we have one in Austin, and then we do have 2 offices in Houston, but mainly
Mhm.
for like pen purposes. We all operate under
Yeah.
the same roof in Houston.
Yeah. It's not that common because that's fairly large. And so I want you to share with us because I found it so intriguing. I got to visit their office and there was something that I heard in a presentation that I was kind of like, wow, like really? Like everything else, I'll be honest, I don't remember. I even presented, I don't even remember. Like, but that one thing stuck with me because I know I've made this mistake in the past and it's thinking that I have to go hire some 100,000. I think the most expensive ops or COO person I had was 180 grand for a year, like
Mm-hmm.
salary. Thinking I need to go hire this outside expert to help me grow my company.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to just tell them like, what's your cleaning business look like? I don't even know what the software looks like as far as people, and I'm sure because it's new, you didn't necessarily hire within, but at least with your cleaning company, I think that story is amazing.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, my GM to this day, that's still, well, actually, she was the GM of Boston, but she is now the director of operations over the entire company. Cleaning isn't complicated. And I think the cleaning industry, we're all kind of micromanagers a little bit and a little
You
bit of
think just a
control
little bit?
freak.
I call us
Just
like
a little bit.
remember the term helicopter moms? They
Oh,
like
yeah, that's
over
us.
their kids?
Yep.
That's us over the business.
And
We
we are
overcomplicate all of it. I'm like,
all
it's
of it.
clean.
I know, it's cleaning. I mean, like, train them, and then it's just simple, core values and simple processes and procedures, and either people abide by them and you get and you would coach them through it. And if they're not coachable, you get rid of them. And nobody messes up your vibe. So I've always said this. I treat my Maids Moore family as if I were as if I treat my own family, my own children, my own husband with the same level of respect, the same thought and gratitude. And I've always done that from the very beginning. Like you guys are my family. And when somebody messes with my family, I'm a mama bear. I don't let customers attack my family. I don't let other cleaners attack other cleaners because those are my babies. Those are my kids, and that's kind of the style that I've always taken from the very beginning. Also, like recognizing talent that just because somebody doesn't have a college education, maybe someone that never even graduated high school, doesn't mean that they're not capable of managerial and operational type of tasks. I've been through a couple. I've hired a couple people from the outside, and it took so long for them to get caught on with exactly the cleaning industry that it was like, and then about the time they got caught on, it was like they didn't like the cleaning industry. So then I just wasted all this time with a person who didn't understand the cleaning industry. So then I was like, you know what? This girl, her name was Roxana. Hi, Roxy. She came in and she was like a general manager or maybe a manager at McDonald's. And she started working and cleaning for me. And I was actually quite funny because the first couple of times she went out, she was one of the ones where I had to stay on the phone with all day long to get her from job to job because she was horrible with directions. Started out really rough. But as just working with her more, I like saw some stuff inside of her that I was like, you know what? She has potential. Like she can higher level think. She can problem solve. She can work and get two people to get along. She is trainable. She's teachable. She might not know it now, but I can teach her. And so with her, we started as her as my assistant. And then eventually Summer came around about the same time. And really, me and her and Summer, I remember we were brainstorming on like, how do we get all these girls to start acting a fool and wanting to do whatever the heck it is that they want to do when they want to do it, and they're running us instead of us running them, because it gets that way really quickly in a cleaning service. So we decided to have a manager's retreat because now there's 3 of us managing. We have Roxy, Summer, and I. And we go to Louisiana. We go gambling. I don't even know if I said that right. Louisiana? I'm from Texas, so I say everything incorrectly. And so we go off on kind of a retreat and we get together and we start talking about the way we want our culture to be. And we want to continue that, the family in a safe place, and not only a safe place, but also like a fair place where you can be, I want to be fair to them, but they need to be fair back. Like just as the way you would need to raise your children correctly. There's everything there's action, there's a reaction, there's a thank you. And when a good deed is done, there's praise. And then there's concern when there's something wrong. So we really like took that whole strategy. We started like literally just calling it the Maids Moore family, and that we were all here for each other. And another thing I noticed is that we needed to bond together. We needed to bond as cleaners. We needed to go have fun. I went to school and taught school every day. I'm the type of person where it doesn't matter where I work, I can make anything fun. But not everybody's like that. And people are looking for like a safe and fun place to go to work. Some people's home life may be horrible, but it's the one place where they get to come and they get to feel like they're going to come and enjoy their day, and that they have managers there that are going to protect them and make it fun and make it like a family, and they're a part of something. And that is really where that whole concept all started, and we have stuck with it the whole time. But I mean, I'm trying to think specifically, like we would have barbecues, we would do Christmas parties, we would sitting down and actually talking, knowing where their kids are going into school or checking on their husbands if they were in the hospital, just really bonding. And then after Roxy, then it was like, okay, Roxy's too busy now. Summer's too busy. I'm too busy. Let's look at somebody we could hire for sales. Let's look at somebody we could hire for to help Roxy. And so then we would pick one. Sometimes they wouldn't work out and we'd send them back out to the field, no harm, no foul. And then we would just keep trying people from within. And I can say we have 17 managers. And at this point in time, Summer didn't clean, but she was there from the very beginning. There's only probably 3 people who didn't start out at the bottom cleaning and work their whole way up. So we've just spotted the talent and the potential. They believed in our vision, and we have created careers for people, for cleaners. If you want to remain a career cleaner, we've created a great environment for you to remain a career cleaner. And if you're interested in stepping up to management, you have a career there. And then hopefully we'll even further it, careers even further with the cleaning software.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that story. So before Hurricane Ian, I had my original cleaner. She was helping us. She was a field manager. Um, and we got hit by Hurricane Ian, and that was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago in October. And she quit when we got hit by Hurricane Ian. And a lot of people at that time like lost their minds. It was very stressful here when the hurricane hit us. And I am super happy to say she is coming back
Yay!
next week. She was my original cleaner. And a lot of people might ask, like, why would I hire her back if she quit? One was we need someone to run we need someone to run Fort Myers. It's lacking. It needs management. And we actually went and pursued her. She has remained friends with many of the cleaners. She remained friends with the general manager of Organize It. And I think when people quit or leave, I think that they are not wanted back, right? They think that, they won't have me, or I'm embarrassed, or I know I shouldn't have quit, or we get this all the time, like it's the best place I've ever worked. And we needed someone to fill that spot. And I had said to our management team, I said, why don't you give Marcy a call? I know you talked to her. I know you guys all talked to her. She talks to the cleaners. She's super friendly. And she was so grateful that we had called her. She goes, oh my God, like, I'm so interested. She was so interested to come back. And I'm excited to have her back because she made all of our training. She was that cleaner. I cleaned for like a year and then got pregnant with my daughter. Actually, it was less than a year. Got pregnant with my daughter because I cleaned until I was 9 months pregnant. And she made all of our training. She made all of our checklists. She made all of like, how do you do an inspection? She was a person who made all of our videos. And I saw that in her, like what you said you saw in Roxy. In her, she was a cleaner, but she had so much more potential. You should see her Google Drive once we transitioned her out of the field and into the office. And she couldn't even speak English. And she did it all in Spanish. I'm like, no problem. I will translate it because that is so much easier than creating the process.
Yep.
And she ran 22 cleaners here in Fort Myers before COVID, or before Ian hit us. And I was like, how did she do that if she didn't speak English? I'm like, love is a universal language. So is empathy. And she would manage them through Google Translate, and she would train them and do inspections. She'd train the trainers. Like, she was phenomenal. It didn't even matter. And we're bringing her back. I'm hoping her English is better, but I could care less.
Hey, you know what? If that is it, there's workarounds for that. There
Oh,
are
yeah.
apps, there are earbuds, there's all kinds of things.
Yes. So
I
we're
tell-
excited to have her back because I'm just like, the things she can work on, the processes that need to be fixed. Because we've been missing that for a little bit here in our Fort Myers location.
Definitely. You can see the talent in somebody, and one, they're flattered and they want to rise to the occasion. You were talking about Spanish. I mean, I do have a lot of Spanish speakers, and I understand most of it. I just can't blab it right back. But I don't treat them any differently, and I think a lot of people think, well, I can't communicate with them. I can't treat them as my child or my family because they don't speak my language. You can. There's so many ways to communicate. Google Translate, you can just, write back and forth on your phone. You have, like, Roxana is bilingual. She translates everything. A lot of the girls that work in my office are bilingual. And another thing is the Spanish thing. I learned very early on, and I see it happening a lot with the growth of cleaning companies and the fact that they're like, oh, my customers will not. If my cleaners aren't speaking English, they're going to fire me. And I'm like, I had that when I went and I started having more because I would always have those customers like, I want at least somebody who will speak English. I had this speech down to a pat, and it was, listen, the first thing I look for is quality. Can they clean well or not? The second thing I look for is dependability and trustworthy. The third thing I look for is, are they going to show up consistently and are they going to be a good team member? The fourth thing, and I just kept going on and down the list about how of these great qualities that all of my cleaners have. And I said, if they had all five of those, does it matter what language they speak?
No.
That's my fifth. If they can make it and they have fifth, then they're probably going to be in management,
Yes.
So I've got over the Spanish speaking and English speaking a long time ago. And my customers actually completely understand when you explain it to them like that. They're like, you know what? You're right. I should be worried about those things before I should be communicating with them. And they should be communicating with the office anyways.
And that's what we always do. Like we tell them we hire off of our core values. Who cares what language they speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you need to communicate with us, that's why we have a whole office staff.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And
More software.
Yeah, a whole office staff. So for our cleaning companies that are listening and following, and I own Woot Recruit, so we recruit for hundreds of people. So many people are closed-minded to hiring other languages. Like, who cares if it's Spanish or Portuguese or Russian, whatever it is. So many people are like, oh no, I don't speak it. But you are like dramatically impacting your results by not being open-minded, because you're opening up that pool of candidates to have more and more to select from. And then we can select for our values, right? Is speaking English a actual value of like your core value? It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think don't be so biased. Have an open mind. And with technology and AI, you can speak any language you want. My Spanish
Exactly.
used to be amazing. My Spanish sucks now because I'm not using it. Everyone in our office is bilingual as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't start that way. It didn't start. My first salesperson didn't speak any Spanish, and a lot of the cleaners did. And it didn't matter because her name was Vera, and she was the sweetest person in the world. And as long as you're a decent human being, like, nobody cares what language you speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amen to that for sure.
Yeah. So I always encourage everybody, like, who cares what language they speak? But let's move on to the cleaning software. So going from cleaning to now owning a software, what are, like, where are those challenges that you're coming up against that you didn't think? Like, for me, it was like, oh, this is what we were predicting because that's what happened in the cleaning industry, like in the cleaning company. And then like with the software, like, well, that sucked. That didn't happen. Or like, oh, we didn't expect that. Like, that was interesting.
Right. I know, because with the maid service, I have my projections out for a year. I know exactly how much I'm projected to make in 15 years. Like, I've got it down. It's like down to a numerical science. I can give you every data that I ever have. So I am also a micromanaging control freak, but I am in remission. I've learned how to delegate and process things. And so I'm in remission. I'm not going back there. But coming into the software, just like you had no idea what to expect, And I mean, I had people telling Summer and I, y'all are going to do great. You're going to do great. Y'all are already experts in the cleaning industry, and your software is the cleaning software, and it's running your cleaning service that is, I think, one of the largest in the nation. So if it can do your company, it can do anybody's. You've got that, expertise built up. So people have been telling me that, and I'm like, really? You think so? And then I got out there, and then I'm like, oh, there is a lot of hangups here. Not everybody does things the same way, and not everybody should do things the same way. What I did might not work for everybody, and that's completely okay. But I never imagined having to deal with the roadblocks of scared to change and the roadblocks of having to look at something differently. Now, that's from my side. If you were to ask Summer about the cleaning software and the issue she had, hers is going to be like figuring out the back end and all of the technological things. about the cleaning software, like all the tiny little things that happens in a SaaS. Like there's a SaaS that controls a SaaS, guys. Like there's a whole lot of stuff in the background that has to go into everything.
Mhm.
So I think I was talking about the technology speaking. Summer would be the best to say the roadblocks from cleaning software, the cleaning software to that. For me, focusing on operations and leadership and marketing, that's my thing in the cleaning software. Totally different. I will go with operations first. Drives me a little crazy because I didn't realize how many people in our industry are so closed-minded and not say everybody, but and scared of change.
Oh my
And
God. I can
that
speak to
has
that.
been one of my
Like,
biggest struggles is to be like, guys, if you don't like, if you want to hit a goal and you're wondering why you're not doing it, it's because you're doing the same thing. You have
over
got
and
to
over and over and
over and
expecting a
over and
different
over.
result.
And then, okay, yes, I want to do something that will help me make my goal. There's no magic pill. There's no magic software. There's no magic button. There's no magic. You have to think differently. And I think, and people are not doing that. They're just staying in their same rut, or like maybe even hiring a coach and there are a lot of great coaches out there. I'm not saying that the coaches aren't good, because there are a lot great. I have a coach for the cleaning software, but like, oh, if I hire a coach, then it'll fix me.
No, it won't. You have to still do the
No,
work.
no, no. It does the fixing. That's not going to fix you. You have to really think change your way of thinking and change your processes to be able to be fixed. And so I didn't realize that would be that hard, for sure. Definitely.
I can resonate. So, owning a recruiting software, and we specialize in the cleaning industry. You're going to laugh at me. And most people who are listening to this, if you've ever been on a demo, and I do the demos because we let go of our salesperson, and I'm in the middle of repackaging, adjusting pricing, looking at our ICP. Because again, I hired an expert that didn't have any knowledge of, well, recruiting or the cleaning industry. And I felt like I was really steered wrong. And so we're redoing a lot of this through SaaS Academy, right? Through some coaches inside SaaS Academy and looking at it. But in my demo, I say this, and because we sold to people that were like not willing to change and not willing to try it a different way. But you came to me because you had a problem. And I have the solution. I know I do it for like 700 companies. But I'm just like, so during the demo, like I literally say, like, we don't do things the traditional way. So please don't bring your old habits. And you're here on the demo because you need help and we want to help you, but we can't help you if you're bringing your old habits with you.
Exactly. That's
And it's just thing that I say in the demo now. And if you're not willing to do that, I understand, but I'm not going to sell to you because you're just going to churn out. You're going to increase my churn. And I'm trying to
exactly.
control my churn.
I've learned that measurement in software. I do not want to churn people.
Yeah. But I think for you, I was telling my husband the other day, I said, switching softwares is just like, oh,
I know.
so much work. And so it's nothing compared to like recruiting. But I will agree with you. I think a lot of our industry, and I don't know why, I've had this conversation with Debbie and Diana from CBF. Like, so much of our industry operates from a place of fear. And because they see it as well over there in CBF, like that kind of the fear that drives them, or fear is driving them to make decisions within our industry. Meanwhile, I have no fear of anything, which is
Me
also
neither.
bad.
I know. It can be our own worst enemy, because then then we just start doing all these things and then we have to like, whoa, stop. It's okay. Squirrel.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting, and I agree with you because we have the same challenge. Um, people bringing the closed mind or old habits. But I did see your challenge being like, I got a call today from House Call Pro. Would you like to see what we have to do? I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going through that. I know. I was
It can
actually
be a
going to ask.
challenge.
I was gonna ask you for some ideas, because that's my job is marketing, and I did, I think I've done a couple of little clips here and there about I get it. Like, changing your operating system is like changing your sorry, bossy, it's like changing your husband. Ugh, who wants to do that? That just sounds like a disaster. Like, nah, just deal with what I have for now. I mean, but not saying I want everyone to leave their husband, or I didn't mean that, but I'm just trying to, I'm a big analogy person, right? So usually stay with what's safe. Well, it's not getting you where you want to be, but you it's like something you put off. It's a big thing. And I've been trying to portray to people, because I've heard nightmare stories about other, like, people going onto these other platforms and it being a disaster. And I'm pretty sure that if you interviewed all 20 to 30 customers that we have on the cleaning software right now, I think that's the first thing they would say is like, it wasn't even that hard. And the difference is because we are cleaning service owners. And I know how to get you out of the old one and into the new one. And if I can do it with as big as our cleaning service was, I've got it figured down we've got it figured out to a science, and it's really not as difficult as it seems to be.
Well,
And
this goes
and
back
how
to
to
the
market that and get
micromanaging.
people to trust me that, look, guys, I got this down. Like, if you had your stuff together, I could get you out of your old one and launched in a week. As long as you could get these things done and we could work together and we could get it done. And it really is not traumatic. And so I've been trying to post, more testimonials on it's not traumatic. It doesn't have to be traumatic. I wouldn't want to make it traumatic for you, because I know how that feels. So
Yeah.
that's one of our biggest things too.
So I think that goes back to the micromanagement. Like they want to micromanage it. So that's going to make it difficult right off the bat. Because I was that person, right? When you said you're in remission, I went the whole other way. Like, I've jumped off that cliff. I don't care what anybody's doing. Just show me the end result. So I've almost went to the like too extreme. But I think that what we've learned in Woot Recruit when it comes to like the cleaning industry and like ICP, like that's your ideal customer profile, is at first we thought, because I brought this big fractional CMO in, and she's like, you can't sell to no one over $1 million. And what we saw was, and that's why I'm rewriting everything, is that that's not necessarily who needed us, like need out of like they're hurting. Because at $1 million, you have a decent manager, you got a couple people in the office, right? And who actually needed us because they were hurting was actually very small cleaning companies. And it was easier for us to help them because it was just them. It was easier to make an impact because again, it was just them, and it was easier for them to see the result because they wanted the time freedom. Like, we took over their recruiting for them. And they were so grateful and appreciative. And now I see some of them, but I will say, and you're probably all listening, they were also one of the hardest to deal with, to onboard, because they were so burnt out and they were so emotional at the time. That they were just operating from a place of emotion. And so we had to adjust our onboarding. We had to adjust the way we thought, because like Eliani, who does our onboarding, she's got her feelings hurt more than once from just people operating from a place of emotion, but they needed us. And once we could help them see that light, they're our biggest cheerleaders. And now they're like not in the field cleaning, and they're off. Like, I see them on Facebook all the time. I'm like, do you ever work anymore?
No, that's
Because
the goal.
no, they don't. And so for us, we had to really reassess of like, who can we make the biggest impact? Now, anyone can buy our software as long as you're a value fit, like for our company, because I don't sell it to them if they're not a value fit. But where we saw that we could make the most impact, it was easier to turn the ship, because when they're 1 million or 2 or 3 million, there's a lot of people that you got to go through now. That ship is hard to turn. And so we kind of adjusted, and we thought, who needs our help the most? Actually, the smaller companies need our help the most. And that ship was easier for us to turn and navigate, because recruiting isn't as difficult, but because we're doing it so non-traditional, it's a mindset shift. And so we only have to change like one mind, the owner versus like the owner, the office manager, the hiring expert, the field manager. It was like it become very cumbersome versus targeting who needs our help the most, who is looking for that time freedom. Also, cleaning business owners we all love done for you. I think that's any business owner. Just do it for me. Can I just
Yeah.
give you my login? Can you just do it for me?
Yep.
Please
We've
just
done
do
that
it
a
for
lot.
me. Yeah.
I think I've been in every system now. So, yep. One more challenge with the cleaning software is marketing. I had down pat locally. Learning how to market nationally has been a challenge for me. And I've never been that person. I mean, I'm a very social person. And when you meet me in person, I'm like, cha, 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 cha. I love people. But nationally, marketing yourself out on social media and just going out there and being vulnerable in front of people and letting them know who you really are. Because I'm grown up in small town Texas where these are the rules and this is what people think and keep your nose out of people's business. And that was kind of the culture that I grew up in. So to jump out there and I would only post on Facebook about my kids. So like doing this whole national marketing thing has been insane for me. And I hope I'm doing okay. So people just give me some likes and tell me that I'm doing good because I feel ridiculous at times, but I'm also just trying to put content out there that will help. I've always wanted to help. I've always wanted to help my employees. Me and Summer have always wanted to help everybody in Maids Moore, and then we want to help our customers now. We're just want to help. There's no underlying crazy thing going on, and putting that out there to everybody nationally, and when the industry is already a little cliquey, has had its challenge, but I'm enjoying it.
Is
I'm
very
enjoying
cliquey.
it. I love it.
It's very cliquey. And I'm new to the industry. I've only been in 6 years, new-ish, right, to cleaning. And I didn't know anything about cleaning. It's very cliquey. I try to stay out of all the cliques. I want to be a neutral party, and I like when all my friends can get along.
Me too. Me too. I try to make myself in this little utopia where everybody gets along and everybody likes everybody. And that's how it's supposed to be. That's what Jesus meant.
I love it because I get along with everybody. So I try to stay out of the cliques. And I do love everybody. And I think there's room for everybody.
There
I think
is.
if we realize there's room for everybody. I'm even friends with my competitors, some of them. Like, if you don't act like a douche, I'm your friend.
I'm glad you said that. I was like, I'm going to say something like that and get myself in trouble.
No, just if you don't act like a douche, I'll be your friend. But if you want to act that way, I'm like, if you cross that line, I'm half Mexican and half Indian. And there's a crazy side of me that you never want to meet ever. Just hope you don't meet me in a dark alley one day. So, but that branding, it's so funny because to me, the national branding is easier than the local branding.
Really?
So it is a challenge. I grew my cleaning company very fast, very easily locally. And I did it all through like networking, like all that local stuff. When I got Woot Recruit, I will say like CBF really helped me launch. We made $1 million in the first year. In a year, I wanted to die. But then after that, it's like nobody else knows you. You've tapped out your network because it was so small. And so it took a mindset shift for me to say, okay, like I have to share myself. And I've always been very open and very honest. And it was Dan, the group that we're in, the SaaS group, that was like, you have to share your journey, you have to share your story. And if you're not, you're being selfish. And I was like, selfish? I kind of thought it was being like braggy or like cocky. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking about this wrong. So now I've actually gotten better at the more broad marketing, and I suck at the local marketing because my brain goes straight to like content marketing. And content marketing is for national brands. And I've spent the last like 4 months learning marketing because I'm tired of like signing up for marketing and then it's just so expensive. And what I've learned is marketing companies typically go to the like straight to the ask, straight to the sign up for a demo or sign up for an estimate. But there's all this stuff in the middle that takes so much work. And now I know why they don't do it. It takes so much work that I do love the content marketing. So if anyone here is looking for like national brand, and I'm going to organize it national, we want to, and I haven't shared this with anybody yet, but we're rolling out a kids course on like how to clean and organize your room.
I feel like I saw that somewhere.
You saw that, but I'm also rolling out coaching for organizing that my cleaning customers will have access to.
I actually think I sent you a referral the other day for a person who has an organizing company that I was like, you got to talk to her. This is your lady. She knows everything. And hopefully she got in touch with you.
She did, because I think the future of cleaning, if our cleaning customers want tips, the future of that is consulting or giving them the tips. They could do it, like DIY is even bigger now with social media. So we're rolling out a coaching course for Organize It that our customers can purchase.
Nice.
Or maybe we'll give it to our customers. I don't know yet. But as far as the content marketing goes for the software, you'll feel like your pond that you're fishing out of. You're like, well, I've tapped that out. You're like, how do I get noticed? Like, how do I connect? How do I you know what? I've done it all through recording real conversations and just sharing them with everybody, sharing my journey, my stories, my struggles, like what we've done in the cleaning company, the organizing company, the software company, what didn't work, what did work. There's a really good book called Story Engine. And it just helps you like tell your story. One thing I suck at is telling my story consistently. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, I left out so many parts. Like I left out Caitlin of my whole story, my CEO, who was the one who like started her. I actually knew her when she was like 10 years old. And because she's my husband's cousin. And actually, by the way, I am not the person I believe very highly recommend hiring family members. I think people stay away from that, but I think that I've been very successful in that aspect. Obviously, I work with my sister, and my husband's cousin was like 10 when I first met him. And then she graduated high school and couldn't figure out what to do. And so just came to us and said, I want to start this location in Houston. Would you be interested in starting a location in Houston? So there, Houston was born, and that's Caitlin, which is my cousin. And now she is in her 30s and the CEO of all of Maids Moore. And she's a bad mama jamma. She is awesome.
I mean, I believe in family too, because my mom runs a location. She ran Fort Myers and then she moved. And so she's running the Oklahoma location. That's why we need help in Fort Myers. She's trying to do it remotely. And it's just, she has to fly in, like she flew in for the quarterly. It's got to have a person dedicated to the location. You can do sales remote, but ops is just, to me, much too difficult. And my mom works with me. My husband works with me. My older son, he's 26. He does all of our marketing for Organize It. My sister used to work for me, but she was temporary. She did a project. She helped me launch the 2 locations. And then she went off to do another job. My sister-in-law worked for me, but she left. But even when they leave, it's nothing personal. Like it's an evolution of their life and their business.
Definitely.
So I love having family, because as long as you communicate clearly, you automatically have somebody on your side.
And eyes and ears. And I mean, you shouldn't if you already have a family type culture, right, where you're treating everybody as if they're your family, there would be no different to insert your actual family. And none of your other employees should feel that you're treating your family any differently, because you should all treat them all the same if you have that mentality of how you treat all of your employees as family, fairly, consistently, and all the time. Like nobody has special circumstances, and if the family members that come to work for you have to know that as well.
Yes, I love that. And I love working with my family, because if I'm going to pay somebody to do something, I'm like, why not look at my family first? Right? If they're qualified. if they're qualified. If they're
Oh,
not
yeah.
qualified, you're not getting the job. And
I'm not
even my
saying
own,
any names, but I've had a couple and I'm like, "Nope, absolutely not."
it's so funny, the story of my mother. I'll just tell this before we wrap up.
Mhm.
I was hiring an office assistant and we had a manager. We had a few people in the office, but I was hiring just like a general office assistant, answer phones, like supplies. And I was looking at our applications and I looked and I was like, I told my husband, I said, this is my mom. She didn't even tell me she was applying for the job. She was working somewhere else and it was horrible. They were disrespectful to her. Her last straw was she left the day crying because of the level of disrespect and like name calling. But the money was great, right?
Mhm.
And that's what kept her there. And she applied to work for us and I made her go through a regular interview. I interviewed her and asked her questions. I onboarded her like a regular employee and she actually took a pay cut to come work with us initially because she had a higher level job and she was just taking like a regular admin job with us. But she just said, I wanted a place where I was respected.
Mhm.
And she's been with us now 4 years, I think.
That's all any employee wants. They want to feel like they're important and they're making a difference. I think there's also some kind of statistics out there about pay raises that, like, bonuses and raises are ineffective most of the time. What they really want is acknowledgement of how great they are. And I mean, if you think about it, it's the same. I keep making the family and kid analogy, but it's the same thing with our kids. Our kids need to be told that they're doing a great job. It builds their confidence, it builds their character. There's no difference. And it hurts me to, if anybody gets anything from this podcast, and what my core value to the bone is that treat the people that work for you well. Because I've been in a lot of different industries, a lot of different companies, and even in the cleaning industry where I'm like, hold on, you don't trust that person to do that, but you know, like there's a lot of trust issues and a lot of like just not treating them as family and giving them that trust until they actually violate it, and then having a system in place to actually take, you know, like giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. Like it's like they're already assuming they're going to do something, and I'm like, oh no, 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 back up, back up.
You know, it's funny that you say that. Just working with people and
Mhm.
interacting and being a coach and being in this industry. And they might get mad at me when I say this, but a common trait I see within especially the residential cleaning sector is a lack of trust. And I think it's a lack of trust in themselves because they just don't see themselves as a successful owner or as a business owner, or they don't trust their process, or they don't trust certain things. And it's a transfer of trust that if I trust myself, I'll trust other people, or trust my processes, or trust like my training, then I'll trust others. But I think that lack of trust in ourselves, because we have self-doubt and it transfers to the other people in our company and it's subconscious. We don't technically see it right away.
Yes. Don't doubt or second guess. Educate and empower. You, as a business owner, are there to empower people around you and make their life successful. And if that is your true intention, you will grow. Sky's the limit. And people will do anything you ask when you ask them to do it because you're empowering them and they feel great about it.
Well, that is a great way to end our podcast. All right. Thank you so much, Holly, for being on. It was
No problem.
so great to talk. And maybe we have to have you and Summer on for another one.
Sure. No problem.
Yeah.
I love it.